Hey everyone, welcome back to A Better Choice Homestead. Today is going to be a little bit different. This past week was my 1-year anniversary being a YouTube content creator. So today I'm going to be creating a reflection video. Can you believe it has been a solid year already? To me, that's hard to believe. This year went by so incredibly fast, and I just cannot believe that we are already at this point. You're going to have to excuse me today. This is Saturday, and I'm hoping I can get this video done for tomorrow, but I have been so sick this week. I don't typically get sick. The last time I was sick, it was a few years ago when everybody else was getting sick. Not something that I normally have to deal with, and I'm usually going at like 100 miles a minute all the time. So this week being in bed all week, I haven't filmed anything. Luckily, I had my Tuesday and my Friday video for this week already done as of Sunday last week, and then I started getting sick Monday night. It has been a week for me in bed. Today, it's Saturday. It's early afternoon right now. It's a beautiful day, although we do still have snow on the ground. But I have spent a solid week in bed. This is the first day that I've been up and mobile, and I spent the morning just trying to get my house in order. Nobody's been cleaning, and because the weather is turning nicer, Sky, who's part husky, she's starting to blow her coat out. There was fur, there is still fur everywhere. It's probably all over me at this point. So I'm just really taking it slow today. I hope I'm going to be able to finish this video and get it out for you tomorrow. As part of this reflective review, I thought I would start by just sharing with you why I decided to start a YouTube channel in the first place. First off, I really thought it would be fun. I thought it would be fun to force myself out of my comfort zone, to learn some new skills while I challenged myself. I'm not the most outgoing person when left to my own devices. I tend to stay in my own personal end zone, focused on what's right in front of me, the things that I have to get done every single day. And I think that just became ingrained in my personality because I was a single mom raising a child by myself without any help. I had no safety net, I had no help whatsoever, and that leaves no room for error, it leaves no room for failure. So I am always just moving a million miles a minute, just focused on what I have to do in the moment. I kind of equate myself sometimes to being a duck, where you're trying to look calm, cool, and collected above water, but below water, your feet are just going a million miles a minute. So that's kind of my life. And I tend to just stay pretty isolated in the things that I'm involved in and making sure that everything gets done, that my life doesn't start to fall apart at the seams or unravel or anything like that. So if left to my own devices, that's what I tend to focus on. And that doesn't leave room for fun a lot of the time. So again, I thought YouTube might be something fun to try. Second, about a year ago, I was transitioning in my career. I started out in sales 20-something years ago after 10 years in animal medicine. I've gone from being an inside sales rep to an outside sales rep to sales manager, back to an outside sales rep, and then back into sales management. And when the pandemic hit, my boss had just retired, and he put me in for his position, which kind of surprised me, but also then kind of didn't surprise me. So I stepped back up into a manager role. But because there were a lot of people, I understand, who had that time period off and were stuck at home. But in my industry, we were considered essential personnel. We worked throughout the whole thing. We never had any time off. And because there was so much to get done, everybody was deciding, all companies were trying to figure out how to get their employees home to follow the mandates while, keeping the doors still open. So we had a lot of work to do because I'm in IT. So for those, I think 2 years, 2020 to 2022, I essentially did 3 jobs with my company. I did the sales manager role, I did the sales rep role, and then I also took on a separate team of new people, and I was mentoring and training them as well. So I was working from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10, midnight, even 2 a.m. sometimes, every single day, even on the weekends, just trying to stay caught up. It was exhausting, and it just kept me so busy that I didn't even have time to think about how tired I was. So I was really ingrained in all of that for a solid 2.5 years. until I had a physical where my doctor told me, look, things are not looking so good for you. You really need to slow down and take a break. And at which point I did talk to my employer, and I did scale back a lot. So I was still working maybe 12 hours a day, but it wasn't the huge amount after that. Then about a year and a half ago, we scaled it way back. So now I just have the one responsibility at work, and I can fit that most of the time into a normal 8 or 10 hour day. And so all of a sudden I had all this free time on my hands that, because of the 2.5 years prior, I was not used to having. And I'm sitting around thinking, well, what am I going to do at this time now? Because this is foreign to me and I don't necessarily like it. So I thought, you know what, maybe a YouTube channel. And the third reason is because I'm a big believer in plan B, or at least having an outline of a plan B, just in case things don't go as planned, or as a method of building like branches for your future, just possible inroads to something new and exciting down the road. I do plan to retire in 10 or 15 years, and I know that once I retire, I'm not going to do well just sitting around or puttering around. So I thought, if I could use this time now for the next 10 years or so to hone my skills and see, well, first of all, see if YouTube is something that I like doing, and then spending a few years really getting the hang of it and getting good at it, then maybe by the time I retire, not only will it give me something to do, but it'll give me some income as well. So that was my third reason for wanting to start a YouTube channel. And my fourth reason is because, in all honesty, my core family is pretty fractured. We're scattered all across the United States. My siblings live in different states and their children live in different states, and my parents were also in different states, although they've at this point both passed away. I do have some relatives who live locally here. Not a lot though, but I do have some, and that's why I chose this area to move to when I decided to leave California back in 2002. But because we're so fractured and so far away from each other, I thought YouTube would be, first of all, a great way for people to see what I'm up to, keep tabs on me and my family. Also because my paternal grandmother is the last woman in my family that I know grew food purposefully to feed her family and then also preserved it. She got married way back. She died, I think, about 10 years ago about a week before her 95th birthday. She was born back in the early-ish 1900s. I was born in California, so I spent 32 years in California before I moved back east. And so I did not have her in my life for 32 years. So she didn't pass down any of those skills to me. I had to learn how to cook, how to grow food, and how to preserve food all on my own, and I don't necessarily want that for the future or lower branches of our family tree. And even after I am gone from this world, I would like to leave a legacy for future generations. Inspiration and how-tos that hopefully might make it easier as the world transitions away from the easy convenience lifestyle that we've all become accustomed to, that is ultimately not good for our health or our pocketbook. And we're seeing many more people move back to more traditional ways of raising your family, of sourcing food, growing food, preserving food. If I can make that just a little bit easier for future generations in my family by having some content available, then that was a motivator for me as well. I really want to show how fun and how easy and delicious it is to cook in your own kitchen. My son's generation, my nieces and nephews' generation, they don't cook. They barely shop. They use apps. They get ready-to-eat meals delivered to them, whether it's from a restaurant or even pre-made food from a grocery store. Just a push of a button, wait 20 minutes, and you've got what you need at your fingertips. That stuff is really expensive and not very healthy, and that is not sustainable. It's just a model that we're not going to be able to depend on long-term if we are living within our means and not racking up debt, and if we want to nourish our bodies and stay as healthy as we possibly can. I think we all learned in 2020 just how fragile our food system is, and knowing that the delta between what it costs you to live and what you bring home in a paycheck, that delta has been growing. So what it costs you to live keeps growing, but what you get paid each week or month, that delta has been growing steadily farther and farther apart since the 1970s. I do believe that in 2025 and beyond, that delta is going to grow even more. It's going to be just a lot harder for families to make ends meet. We are already seeing inflation skyrocket back up. So anything that you can do to reduce your monthly output is going to be a benefit to you and to your family. If you can do that by growing some of your own food and learning how to preserve it, that's fantastic. If it's learning how to cook or to expand on what you know how to cook, so you're less likely to dine out because you can meet all of your cravings in your own kitchen, that's fantastic too. And then there is the health aspect of our food. I've mentioned a few times in some videos that up until I was in my 30s, I was in picture perfect health. I was very athletic, very trim, very fit, never had a health issue other than a burst appendix when I was a kid. But other than that, I did not give my health a second thought. I was very healthy. Then I had an accident sledding in Reno on one of those just blue plastic saucers. And I ended up shattering my clavicle. I have a plate in my clavicle today. There's no bone there. It is just held together by metal. And I also fractured some vertebrae in my back and ruptured a whole bunch of discs in my back as well, in addition to tearing the labral tissue in my hip sockets. That was a doozy. So I ended up hitting some man-made moguls at the bottom of the sledding run, and it became airborne and landed on my back in the parking lot. And that was horrendous, but that was the kind of the kickoff to the turn in my healthful state. A few years after that is when I developed AVN, or avascular necrosis of one hip, had the first hip replacement. Then I developed avascular necrosis in my wrists, and then in my second hip, had a second hip replacement, then had to have the third hip replacement to take out the first hip replacement, which was poisoning me with metal, that then led to 2 different kinds of breast cancer over the course of 2 separate years. So what does this have to do with food and my YouTube channel? Well, everything. If you don't fuel your body properly, it is not going to be able to ward off illness and disease. It's not going to be able to heal you properly. It is not going to support you in everything that you want to do. It's just not. Eating unhealthy fats, junk foods, highly processed, and sodium-laden foods is going to take a toll on your health. You may or may not be at a point where you're willing to embrace whole foods, real food, non-GMO food, organic food. But if you learn to cook, and if you're willing to experiment with cooking, you might be willing in the very near future, and it makes a world of difference. So I started my channel, A Better Choice Homestead, and 1 year later, I still do not live on my forever homestead property, but I will. In the meantime, I live on just under half an acre with a modest garden. I'm embracing that space, and I am showing through my channel all that you can accomplish in such a limited, even urban space when it comes to growing, preparing, and preserving your own food. Now, a lot of the stuff that I get also comes from either my local farmer's market, my local farmer, or even Azure Standard. Sometimes that's what you have to do. You just have to embrace where you are in your life at the moment and make it work for you. But I'm still creating the skills that I'm going to need when I am ready to purchase my forever property. I'm trying to show that no matter who you are, where you are, what your circumstances are, you can embrace it too and make decisions and choices that benefit the health and well-being of your family. So here we are today, and it has been an incredible journey for me. I wanted to take a moment just to share some of my experiences with you. When I first hit that record button back in, well, it was actually September of 2023. That's when I first started recording videos, but they were awful. In part because I really honestly don't like the camera. I am incredibly self-critical, but also because of my kitchen. My kitchen had all wood cabinets, which made it look like a cave. Just the quality of the videos were so bad. The lighting was awful, and there was nothing I could do to fix it with like extra lights. Take a look at what I mean. Look how dark this kitchen is. You can see the beautiful bright tomatoes that were end of season in 2023 that I'm ripening up on my kitchen windowsill, but otherwise this kitchen was dark. There's no personality to the cabinets whatsoever, and they just suck in all of that light. Even though there are a lot of lights in this kitchen, there's tons of recessed lights across this kitchen. It was so dark. This is daytime. You can see that out the window, but the cabinets are just sucking all of that light in. Here I am now doing a freeze dry Friday video. It's a little bit brighter outside on this day, so there's a little bit more light in the kitchen, but again, it just still looks really dark. These were the greens from my 2023 garden that I had liquefied and then freeze dried and turned into green powder, which just worked out beautiful. In any case, you can see just how tragically dark this kitchen was, and it really hard to film in here. I probably have about 3 months worth of videos that I never ended up using, especially because once I painted my kitchen, it would have been hard to go back and use these videos, but I do have them for reference on things I've done and how the garden was. I spent the latter part of December of 2023 and the early part of January 2024 redoing my kitchen cabinets, and that made a huge difference. You have no idea how important lighting is when you film until you start filming and editing. The dark cabinets just sucked in all of the light, and while the same exact cabinets, now painted white, reflect light back into the room. Huge improvement. This was a DIY job, and I knew I had to do it well so that I wouldn't ruin my cabinets or have to pay someone to come and fix a mess. I think they came out great. They've held up now for over a year, no peeling, no cracking. I think I did a solid job. And in case you're interested how I did this, I first used a grease and grime cleaner and then sanded off the glossy finish. And then I applied white cabinet grain filler by Aquacoat. That was a bit tricky to get the hang of, and I found it best applied with an old healthcare insurance card since I didn't have an old credit card laying around for use. After that, I applied a coat of Sherwin-Williams Extreme Bond Primer, and finally 2 coats of Sherwin-Williams Emerald Urethane Trim Enamel Paint. And the finishing touch was adding the pulls to the cabinets, which they didn't have before. I think they added some personality to the kitchen. So I was ready to start filming for real again in January of 2024, but I had no idea how to edit. So in September, I had started filming and was just playing around with the videos, just trying to figure out, where to put the camera and how to do this and how to do that. And even though I knew the lighting was bad, I still needed to practice editing because you have to edit your videos. And I could not figure it out. I went online on Google and on YouTube, and I did so much research on software editing tools. And eventually I ended up deciding that, okay, DaVinci Resolve sounded really good. It's motion picture quality edit capability, even on their free version. And so I downloaded that, and I spent months trying to figure out how to use that tool. Oh my goodness, months. But I had never edited anything. I did not know about cutting, clipping, layers, nothing. And so I was stalled. I was stuck. I had absolutely no idea how to get from where I was to where I wanted to be. It was way, way too complicated for me. And I couldn't figure it out. So even the videos that I was watching on how to learn how to do it, they just assumed you had a baseline understanding of editing, which I didn't. So I would spend hours watching videos and trying to replicate what they were doing in my screen, and I couldn't figure it out. And I felt stupid. I really did. I felt stupid, like, how can I not get this? But I couldn't get it. So I decided I needed to ask for some help. I decided to try and leverage a Patreon group that I was a part of that offered once a month live videos, and I would attend every single one. I would always get so excited when that live would come on, and I would ask in the comments every single time, what do you use for editing your videos? And the question was never answered, and I totally get why. I mean, this channel is very, very popular, and the chat was always going so so fast and everybody wanted a chance to be heard. Everybody was asking questions. So frustrated as I just was trying to be patient, and every month I would go in there and ask the same question multiple times until finally one day it was answered, and the answer was so simple that I just started laughing because the answer was iMovie. Now, honestly, I didn't know what iMovie was. I'd never used it before. I've had an iPhone for years, but I wasn't a content creator, so I never had purpose to even look into it. But I knew my phone had it. And so once they said that to me, I started asking my nieces, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we know how to use that." And so they gave me some remote help, and then I started figuring things out. So then I was at a stage where I could actually start to edit some videos, which I practiced on the ones I had already done until I felt like I got the hang of it. And then I was ready to actually start shooting for real. I was able to publish my first video on March 4th of 2023. So we are just over 1 year into my YouTube journey. Within 2 weeks of starting my channel, I committed to 3 videos a week, sharing my passion for gardening, for cooking, and for preserving food. And 1 year in, I have just over 160 videos published, which absolutely blows my mind, especially knowing how much time goes into each video. That's a huge accomplishment. Now, I know that they have not all been great videos for one reason or another, that's for sure, but some, they've done pretty well for a newbie. Take a look. So far, the video with the most views was my egg roll in a bowl. I was about 2 months in my YouTube journey, and to be honest, that video kind of scared me. The thumbnail was not good. It was a Tasty Tuesday segment showing how to make a cabbage dish. It was a good cabbage dish, but a cabbage dish nonetheless. After that video kind of took off, I started looking up all sorts of different cabbage recipes. I started playing around with AI, trying to figure out why that video was doing so much better than the other ones I had already posted. Of course, I wanted to replicate the success that it was having, but I was also trying to figure out what viewers wanted from me. I think I got 500 subscribers from that one video in just a couple of weeks. But after that, my growth stalled a bit, which the algorithm does not like. A few months after that, one of my Freeze Dry Friday videos did pretty well for a newbie, but then I went into another stall. And then a few months after that one of my Azure Standard Sunday Fun Day videos did pretty well also, from a newbie perspective. Over the last year, we've explored everything from growing tomatoes and peppers to freeze drying, dehydrating, and canning, to whipping up delicious meals like that egg roll in a bowl recipe. But it has not always been easy. YouTube is a lot of work. Between brainstorming ideas, filming, editing, and all the behind the scenes stuff, it is definitely a juggling act. And I admit that last summer, hey Sky, last summer, a large part of my garden just went neglected. I literally had the most beautiful Abe Lincoln tomatoes that just kept ripening on the vine and then falling to the ground because I was inside doing all of this filming and setting up and editing. A lot of attention was taken away from the things that I like to do. And the fall projects that I was supposed to do in fall of 2023 that I pushed off to fall of 2024, I haven't done those yet either. And that's one of the reasons why I'm not even looking for a property yet. I have to paint the inside of this house. I have got to landscape outside of the garden here in the backyard, and I just have not had time to do either one of those things. They're still on my to-do list. So I have been thinking that in order for me to up my YouTube game, so to speak, to create better content and maintain my sanity and some balance in my life, I might need to tweak my schedule a bit. I'm toying with the idea of alternating Tasty Tuesday to every other week, or maybe alternating Tasty Tuesday one week and a Freeze Dry Friday one week. I'm still trying to figure that out, but I want to make sure that I can give each video the attention that it deserves. And just to give you some context on that, if I film for 2 hours, which is not uncommon, then I edit for 8 to 10 hours. Now, part of that is because I don't have the available time it takes to practice and learn better editing skills because of how many videos I'm doing each week. I don't have time to practice and learn better camera placement, B camera roll placement, or even what camera I should buy for B camera roll placement. I still need to research better lighting setups with diffusers so it's not so harsh, the audio syncing, and so much more. And anything that I do decide to add into my process, I'm also going to need to have time to learn how to implement and use it well. I mentioned a few months ago that I had purchased a backup microphone because I was having so many audio issues. So I used the DJI, and even when I was having audio issues, I had this mic. This was the upgrade to something else I had been using that stopped working. But that was because I didn't have time to look into using this. I'm the duck. I'm just go, go, go. So I didn't even have time to make sure that I knew how to use the equipment correctly. So for those of you that stuck with me through those couple of videos, thank you so very much. But because I know how important audio is, I did then purchase a second audio setup or mic setup. I purchased the Rode wireless kit. I purchased that in November, and we're in March now. And I did not even have time to get the wrapper off of that box and start charging the unit so that I could even turn it on and start playing around with it until last week. And literally all I've done is plug it in. It's charged, but still plugged in charging. I definitely have not had a chance to play around with it, learn how to use it, or optimize it yet. With 3 videos a week, I'm dedicating at least 15 hours to the filming process, which includes setup and takedown of the set, if you will, and another 20 to 30 hours a week editing. That's a full-time job. And I already have a full-time job. So something has to give if I'm gonna get any better. And I want to get better. I want to do this. I want my channel to succeed. So reflecting back, I realized that through all of this, notwithstanding knowing that I still have a lot to learn, I actually have learned quite a lot already. I've learned that creating content is both easy and incredibly hard. Turning on a camera and just doing what you would normally be doing anyway is easy. Making it look easy is incredibly challenging sometimes. YouTube takes a lot of effort. And I've also learned the importance of being intentional and focused. In 2024, I missed all of the holiday opportunities because I wasn't organized enough to film far enough in advance. I still have not even finished my herb to medicine, herb to beauty products video because it was very tricky trying to find the time to film a 4th video that I wasn't going to be uploading for viewing that same week. That was near impossible for me to find the time to do that. Now, I did find the time to do that, and we are at the tail end of that processing pause window. So I will pick that video back up here probably in a couple of weeks, and then I can publish the whole thing. So it is coming, but here we are in March and I have not even started my seeds. Now this is the weekend I'm supposed to start them. I'm in growing zone 6A, and this is the time when I normally start my seeds. I'm probably not going to be doing that this weekend just because even halfway through this day, being up on my feet, I am ready to go back to bed. I do not feel good. So I'll probably do that sometime in the upcoming week or next Saturday for next Sunday's video. We'll get some seeds started. But I am behind. I haven't even planned what I'm going to be putting in my garden yet. So for year 2, as I embark on year 2, I definitely want to be more focused and intentional, more proactive to create content that's both timely and relevant. So focus and intentionality are key on my year 2 growth as a content creator list. I have also learned the power of online community. You have been so incredibly supportive, offering suggestions and tips and even content ideas. It's just been amazing to connect with people who share my passion for food, for health, for creativity in the kitchen, and just in general, creating a more sustainable lifestyle. So thank you for that from the bottom of my heart. Your encouragement and enthusiasm has meant the world to me. Truly, truly has been an inspiration at times when I feel so overwhelmed that I'm just not sure I can do my next video. your comments, your interactions with me, they give me that extra little bit of motivation to get me going and get the job done. I'm just so grateful that we are building this community together, and I'm very much looking forward to watching it grow. So, what is next for A Better Choice Homestead? Definitely more delicious recipes, more freeze-drying adventures, more gardening tips, of course. I'm excited to continue this journey with you all and see where it takes us. I can't wait to see what we create together. This year, I'd also really like to design and launch my website, but that is going to take time and focus. I'd love that place to be able to park my recipe cards, my dog food workbook, pictures of the garden and of the harvest, things like that. I'd also like to create a Facebook group page, an Instagram account, maybe even a TikTok. I don't know. But I do know that any of those that I want to do are going to take time. And I don't have any free time in my life right now with the schedule that I'm currently doing for YouTube. So I need to reclaim some of that time. I just do. If you have stuck with me so far on this video, first of all, thank you. And second, I have 2 asks for you. First, if you do find value in my content, please remember to give me a thumbs up like. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed, please consider subscribing. The YouTube algorithm is pretty good to new content creators as long as you have a trend-ish worthy video within the first 2 months of publishing your channel, which I kind of did with egg roll in a bowl. But because I had that lull afterwards, I really kind of fell out of favor with YouTube. The best way that you can support me and my channel is by engagement. A like, a comment, a subscribe, a share. I would very much appreciate it. The engagement signals the algorithm that it should push my video to other like-minded individuals' homepages. So I would just really appreciate the extra support there. And second, I would love to hear your thoughts on possible schedule changes. What do you think? Knowing the content that I've already created, the stuff that I am passionate about, growing, preparing, and preserving food, what would you like to see from me? What would your ideal ABC Homestead content schedule look like? Knowing 3 videos a week is not sustainable to me. It is not my full-time job. Wish it was, but it's not. Please let me know in the comments down below. And as always, thank you so much for joining me for another Sunday Fun Day, a look back on year 1 as a content creator and planning for year 2. My name is Kelly, you're at A Better Choice Homestead, and I do hope you come back and visit again soon.